I thought I'd bring you guys on a nature walk because this is just around the corner from where I live. Okay, hear the birds, nice, huh? So yeah, like I said on the other video, it's like here in Sweden, it's winter, and then in 1 week all the snow gets melted and then the nice weather starts. I'm still wearing my winter jacket though because it's only 7 degrees Celsius, which is like 7 degrees above water freezing point, so it's still pretty cold. But the path isn't actually free yet. Can you see the snow? Actually, at this part of the path I once saw a mother elk and her child. But of course now that I'm talking, they've probably heard me, and I don't think we'll see any big wildlife. But I'm gonna go all the way to the top here of the forest, which is about there somewhere, you can't really see it, and then I'll show you guys that spot because that's my favorite spot close by. And I'll see you there. Bye! Hey guys, here we are at the top of the, well, it's not really a mountain, it's more like a hill. But for someone who comes from Holland, it feels like a mountain. The forest that we just walked through is behind us. And then we look around. This is where I took my daughter for the first time when I introduced her to paganism. She started to be more and more curious and interested, and so I thought I'd start off with showing her the elements. We came here in winter, so we were basically literally standing on top of water, the snow and the ice, looking at air, and the sun was out, so there was some fire as well. And well, as maybe you can see, the ground here is mostly granite, as it is in most of Sweden, which is why we have so much pine and birch. So this is where we came. We had some lunch and we sat there on the stones and meditated. Well, not so much meditated, but just sat still and enjoyed the surroundings and concentrated on each element in particular, and I told some stories, and so that's how we started. Yeah, you see the electricity stands here. I'll have to explain that. This track that I just walked is usually used for cross-country skiing a lot, and since in winter we only have a few hours of daylight during the day, they lit the entire track. So that means that you can still, after 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you can still go out and feel safe and see where you're going. So yeah, I'll show you where we came up. This is the, you can still see snow there as well. But now I'm gonna take a way back, not along the track, but I'm gonna go through the forest and see if we can find some, I don't know, particularly film-worthy items or beings, or we'll see. I'm just gonna keep walking for a bit, and then if I see something I'll turn the video camera back on. Wow, look at these stones. I love how rocky it is here. I mean, coming from Holland, the ground we walk on is either sand, which is the original ground, and then of course there's loads of man-made land, which is mostly clay. And look at these bursts. Just every winter the rocks freeze, and then in spring they start to thaw out, and many of the rocks will have these, what do you call them? Bursts, just, you know, cracks, that's what they're called. Will have cracks in them. A little bit further down the forest last year I found a really big rock that actually had a big chip out of it that fall down. It was a really beautiful thing. If I can find it again this year, something like that, I'll put it on film. But now I'm going to turn you off, and I'll see you again once I find something. See you then. Bye bye. So there's a little pond here, and I don't know actually if here in Sweden it would be too cold. But in Holland around now, these types of ponds, so it's just caught rainwater, ponds that disappear in the summer, they would be filled with frog eggs and frog fish. But the camera only catches the mirrored image of the trees. I don't really see anything moving in the water. Sorry if I'm not very steady with the camera, by the way, but this is my phone camera that I'm using, and it doesn't have a stabilizer. I'll have to see how it comes out once I put it through my software. But pretty. It's so peaceful here. I love it. And there we have a mosquito. This is one of those huge cracks that I was talking about before. And it's a big stone. You just step over the snow. Just imagine the sound it would have made when it cracked. Amazing. Just the force that would have gone into that just by freezing and thawing out again. So to kind of show you where I live, that's the start of the forest we were just in, and then you see here this water at the end of it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's, I don't know what they're called in English. They're like walls in the water that can open and close, and there's usually two of them in canals to make sure that the water that flows higher on one side so it doesn't overflow on the other side. That was not a good explanation, but yeah, if someone knows what it's called, please comment. And from those you can actually see the apartment building that I live in. But I'll show you that again when I'm standing over there. So, this is the end of the strip to the water, sort of. And then you take the bridge over towards the forest. It's a really nice walk. So now we're at the whatever you call them. And there in the distance, that's more or less where I was standing when I was filming up to this side. And then the forest is there behind those buildings. And then where am I going with this camera? There. That yellow building is my apartment building. And to make a better explanation of what these things are, there the water is at that height, and on the other side of it it's at this height, if you can see. And here there's actually three of them. I usually only know them in two. I don't know if you can see that the water is up to where we're standing basically, and then there it's really deep. So tell me what they're called in English, because I have no idea. And I'm gonna go home. See ya, bye!